in now as well. Welcome back, everyone. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all good. Kel, another disastrous result for Man City. Another poor performance, especially in the last 30 minutes. Break it down for me, please.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad in the first half. We looked better. But once again, just like last season, that midfield is just a problem. But I'll say who was not a problem today is our Ballon d'Or winner is back. That was a very impressive performance from Rodri. I did not think he was going to go the full 90. Definitely not the problem today. But the rest of the midfield just kind of a mess. And it got really bad. That last 30 minutes, like you mentioned, that was when Bernardo subbed off. And we just don't realize all the dirty work that he does until he's not on the pitch. And then everything just kind of falls apart. And so that was another story today. Just I have to give credit to Brighton, though. Those 4 subs that they brought on really made a huge difference. And they were the much better team after that happened. We kind of fell off after that. And then our subs, I just didn't understand them. I was like, why are you taking Marmoush off for Doku? Because Doku just doesn't create in the final third. He doesn't. Okay, everyone's like, ooh, the Aston Villa game last season. But other than that, like, he's just not the guy you want on the end. When you need a goal, he's not the guy you need to bring on. So, yeah, frustrating game. This midfield needs time to gel, man. I know I raved about Tijani Reinders, but he's definitely struggled the past 2 games. When he eventually catches up and gets in sync with the rest of this midfield, I think that's when the team is really going to take off. But if we keep dropping points, it'll just be too little too late. I also want to shout out James Trafford. There's been a lot of speculation about a new keeper. I thought he had a great game. I'm not going to blame him for missing or not saving a pen. And I guess at the end it was a little poor, but it's also poor night Nori. So
yeah, I get that. Are you, Kel, how concerned are you? Because look, I know it's a little, United probably have been better marginally over the 3 games, but that isn't really where you guys want to be judged against. Do you want to be judged? You're being judged against Liverpool's and the Arsenals and the Chelseas, the title contenders. You're judged against the European elite. How far, honestly, do you think you're off that right now, their level?
I mean, right now we're nowhere near contending for the Premier League or the Champions League, in my opinion. Just like I said, I think we have the players in place. They just need time. And unfortunately, we don't have time right now. Like, we've already dropped 6 points 3 games into the season. That could be pretty fatal in terms of a title race. But I think that will click eventually. Like last season, absolute nightmare, and we went on in this massive unbeaten run at the end. I think we can kind of do the same thing again. But yeah, until this team clicks, it's gonna be rough to watch. And this is a rebuild. This is what happens. We've had this really solid midfield for 10 years, and this midfield has been torn apart. And so you're putting new players in. I think we recruited well. It's just they're going to take time. I got overgassed about Tijani after the Wolves game. I'm willing to admit that. It's going to take him a little more time to settle. Clearly.
I hear that. Lewis, thank you, Kel. Lewis is another City fan who's with us today. Break down the game for me. You take the lead. You look quite comfortable. But a lot of our viewers have said, Terry, I don't think City were comfortable. I think City run out of ideas in the game. How did you see it from a City perspective, mate?
Yeah, for me, I've seen that game. I feel like I've seen that game 15 or 20 times now. It's a different season, but it's the same issues that we had, for the last half of last season. I don't know where the mentality's gone, but the mentality seems to have left the squad at the minute, and I don't know if that's because we've lost a lot of those players like Kevin De Bruyne, who would drag you through games. But for me, there's no urgency. It felt like we coasted that second half, in which it was a second half in which we in parts of that game we were bullied a little bit. Not as bad as Spurs. I think the second half against Spurs was even worse in that regard. But we were okay for the first. We're okay for spells of the first half. I just don't think we're creating enough at the minute. We're too reliant on certain players. We're too reliant on Haaland popping up with a goal. We've been very spoiled in the past. I remember seasons where we had 5 players scoring 20 goals. And, you look at where we are now, and we're so far away from that. I couldn't, I struggled to find you 3 or 4 that would score 20 goals for us at the minute, barring, Haaland, and maybe if Foden had a standout season, which again we've not had for a few years.
Yeah, I agree. As much as you had a lot of the ball, You know, you again, whether people want to use their eyes, whether they want to do what I do and use data as well. I was looking at it, and you had 60% of the ball over the whole game. But in that first 60 minutes, you had 60 to 70% of the ball. You had about 10 shots, but it was only 10 shots on goal. The XG, if you want to use XG that like it, was around 1 point, I think at the time, 1.2, 1.3. So for all of that possession, it wasn't as though you were creating lots of goal scoring opportunities as an example. And then it just became slow. And I mean, the shocking bit for me, Lewis, was Pep had zero response to those 4 substitutions. And for the last 30 minutes, it was all one-way traffic.
Yeah, I think you look at the players that we decided to bring on, and I don't like jumping on Rico Lewis because I think at the end of last season there was a lot of stick that went his way, but I think it shows where we are at the minute, where we're trailing, we're needing a goal, and we're bringing on Rico Lewis, and then we're bringing on Doku, and again, I've stuck up for Doku. I think he's a good player. But we're at a situation at the minute where the club doesn't have any wingers that are impacting the game. So, from that regard, it's crazy. We should be a top 2, top 4 team, let's say. Maybe, probably top 2 if you go off the last kind of 6-7 years. And we've not got any wingers that are affecting the game at the minute, which terrifies me. It's the last, we've got 24 hours for the window closes, something like that, maybe less. And I've not heard anything. There's nothing in terms of, fixing that issue. I think that's the biggest issue at the minute. We had players like Mahrez back in the day that would come on. I wasn't a Sterling fan, but I'd have took Sterling today over any of the wings that we brought on. So I think that's one of the biggest issues with the club at the minute. We're just not providing enough threat.
No, I hear you. And where's Foden today? Went on the bench, was he? He's
injured.
Injured. Okay, cool.
He's injured, and Turkey was injured, and we missed that badly. Rob had a decent first half, but he faded second half. And
young players do, and he's young. He's got no experience because he missed the whole of last season injured. And I think it's just like my club, Man United, has made this massive mistake in recent years of putting all this. Oh, the kid will carry us. We just got to stop doing. I think it's every now and then you get a Yamal as an example that can do it at that age, Rooney. But these kids are as rare as rocking horse shit, and they shouldn't be the mean. Mo, from an outsider's point of view, what did you make of it, bro? Break it down.
I thought Rodri is back, and I thought City are going to be great, and everything is going to click. But listen, game week 3 and Man United are above Manchester City. This is just the table says that. Erling Haaland missed a couple of chances. City could have been 2-0 earlier in the game, but he missed chances, reckless in front of the goal. Absolutely. Omar Marmoush is trying his best. I don't think City knows how to play with these players. He doesn't have Kevin De Bruyne. Oscar Bob is so different than the wingers he has. Omar Marmoush is so different than the wingers he had before. Tijani Reinders is not a player that sticks to formation and instructions. And you can tell today that he was all over the place. He's a very talented player, looks fantastic, but he doesn't help Rodri defensively. Rodri was struggling big time in transition in the second half, which is something that we have said. He's much slower than before. On the ball, he looks brilliant. Ballon d'Or, Rodri, brilliant distribution and everything. Off the ball, he needs a lot of help, and Reinders is not that help. So maybe Nico Gonzalez needs to play. Defensively, Ait Nouri's positioning was awful. Kozanov relies on speed. I think the City team might even finish 4th or 5th if they continue like this, if they don't get anybody in the window. I'm being serious. Yeah, you might click in the side. You might finish 4th or 5th. And now all the takes that people said that the City team is not going to win the title, is not going to challenge, I stick by it. I don't think City will be in the title race unless investments are made again, unless Pep Guardiola changes something dramatically in the team. He keeps insisting on pass the ball again. He went back to the boring football that he used to play, but you don't have these players that will make things happen out of nowhere. Marmoush, by the way, he had the assist. That was not meant as a pass. He was trying to dribble. He was trying to dribble in the 18. Man City, to be honest with you, Terry, I'm just going to say something.
Yeah, go on.
Man City are cooked. Like, with this lineup, Matthias Nunes right back. Asking Ait Nouri to defend. He has Bernardo Silva. Kilku's talking to me in the group stage. I know you want to end.
No. I'll just agree.
And she said one thing, right? She said, how, when Bernardo left, our midfield looked worse. How in 2025 we're still relying on Bernardo Silva to carry the midfield. Like, how is this even possible?
I'll tell you why this all is, though, and I don't disagree with you. And look, I'm defending Pep here to a certain degree. Recruitment. Pep's always had this accusation, and I didn't like it, that he was a checkbook manager. And I don't like that because all the top managers at all the biggest clubs in the world for 50 years have spent more money than the teams at the smaller clubs. That being said, we all get at managers that we don't like and go, your system don't work. Buy them the players for that system that make it work. That's the modern day game that we're in. You need players that make your system work. The recruitment at Man City, you can go back as far as the Calvin Phillips recruitment. You even look at Jack Grealish. Look how good he looks at Everton, right? Barely did that for City. Not because he's a bad player, not because City's a bad, not because Pep's a bad coach, because they didn't fit each other. But the amount of signings City have made in the last few years, where I don't think there's been a good enough immediate, medium, or long-term impact from these players, is startling. It's been a lot of it is poor recruitment. And then Pep, where he is struggling, and I think this is, mate, it's not a dig, it's the truth. He's only ever really been at places where the team was already good and then recruited to make better, Barca, Bayern, and City. What he didn't do was come up through a lower level team where he's had to scrimp and scrape and borrow and makeshift and mend. So now he's in a scenario where he's like, shit, how do I make this work when I don't have everything I need? And I think we're seeing a different thing. He never had to do what Jose did, where he takes over a Porto and turns a Portuguese team into the best team in Europe for a period of time. It's a different skill set that's required here. And I'm not blaming Pep, because Pep burst onto the scene and he did what he did and he was in a different lane. But it's in these moments, Pep needs better recruitment, the same as all top managers need good recruitment. And I think City's has been poor. Now, I'm not blaming the new guys because they've only been here a couple of games. I'm not writing them off, but it's outside of that. It's all the money spent on the Dokus and the Savinhos and the like before. Nunez, all that money, hundreds of millions. That they're just, end of the day, Pep system one thing, football changing another. They're just not good enough football players. Like, let's go to the simple solution here. Man United have had this problem for a while. Oh, should we play this? Should we play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, 3 at the back, 5 at the back, 10 at the back, 9-1-1, 9-9-9, E17, whatever you want, take that. Well, hang on a minute. The players have got managers sacked in every formation. Do you know why? Because they're just not fucking good enough. And I think City's recruitment is a massive part of the problem here. To defend the manager, I think City have just bought shockingly bad for 3 years.
Especially in the midfield, too. The last good midfielder we bought was Rodri 5 seasons ago, and it took him 2 years to become Rodri. Like, our midfield recruitment has been poor, but part of that was just because we had such a stacked midfield. Nobody wanted to come and be benched by Gundogan, Bernardo, KDB, Rodri. Like, those were prime players for a long time, and they've reached the end of their cycle. De Bruyne left. Bernardo is going to leave next summer. And we've kind of failed to replace them. That's why we're still relying on them, unfortunately. Because unfortunately, nobody's been better than Bernardo. Like, what Bernardo, he's declined a lot. I was whining about it all last season, but that's all we have. We don't have to do better than him.
No, I agree. Guardiola shouldn't have extended his contract. Maybe not. PD here says, off topic Mo, PG MOL admitted VAR from Chelsea game messed up yesterday. Want to change your stance on it? Not on that stream though. Cook City. We'll talk about it in the week because I only caught up with that earlier on today. It's crazy. Honestly, City might go down with the 1-1-5s, and even without them playing that badly. It's just Arsenal hate when people would predict City above us. Look, they're not going to go down, right? Let's be honest. Like, even Man United, as much as our results have been poor, like, you just actually look at it and the way we've performed, even City not being great, like, pound for pound, City ain't going down, right? This is just stupid. But will they be in a title race? Not performing like this.